Hello my little Sapphires, and welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Nadia Sapphire. I'm a professional wrestler from Cardiff, Wales, and have wrestled all over the world, apart from, I'd love to wrestle in like Japan, Mexico and Canada, so not all over the world, let's say half the world, or a quarter of the world, or even less, but anyway, international pro wrestler. And recently I had someone contact me and actually subscribe to my OF because they wanted to talk to me about dyspraxia. They seen an interview with me talking about dyspraxia, and that's something which like so many people don't know about me, so I just thought I'd talk about that and talk about having dyspraxia in wrestling, the struggles, and just how I get around it. And hopefully if there's any other people out there with dyspraxia who want to wrestle or are wrestling, this will help you. So I was diagnosed from an early age. My mum always knew something wasn't right with me. The cord was wrapped around my neck twice, and my mum thinks that I was starved of oxygen. I didn't start walking till about 1.5, maybe later, so I was a late walker. Riding a bike or riding on skates I couldn't do, everyone else could do. It took me just longer to learn everything. My mum also noticed some other stuff as well, and we were constantly in and out of like psychologists, psychiatrists, this and that, and I was diagnosed with loads of things: so dyspraxia, dyslexia, ADHD. They said I was on the spectrum. Apparently I had all these behavioural problems. There were just lots going on. They said they couldn't just pinpoint it to one. Later on in life I was diagnosed with like a mood disorder, which is like a form of bipolar, and also diagnosed with what's it called, emotional borderline personality disorder. That was like when I was like 27, I'm 33 now. Who knows? I think like it's hard to even diagnose people with things. I think it's like easy to say, oh, you've got this, you've got that, but like we've all got traits of everything, like no one's the same. But anyway, there's me going off on a tangent. I love a little tangent. So yeah, so everything was harder for me. During the weekdays, I used to go to this like community centre where they had like gymnastic equipment, and we just had to learn how to balance and do things like catching balls and stuff, and then had to do it at home. It was sort of like physiotherapy, because dyspraxia is a lot to do with your balance and coordination. I also found things really stressful and really frustrating, and I got quite emotionally overwhelmed at times when my body couldn't physically do something that I wanted it to do. When I was 9 years old, I started watching wrestling. It was the Alliance versus the WWF back then, and I absolutely fell in love with wrestling. Like, I just loved it. I loved the storylines, and I just wanted to be a wrestler. I wasn't the best at sports. I wasn't great at netball, or wasn't picked for sport teams, wasn't good at rugby, football, nothing. Obviously, uncoordinated. My dancing was terrible. My mother always said that in like school and like the school dances, people would be laughing at my dancing behind my back, mocking me because I had no rhythm. I just danced like a crazy person. But I was happy. I was in my own little world, and apparently my mind was a couple of years younger than my actual age. So for example, say if I was like 12 years old, then my mind would probably be like a 9-year-old mind, if that makes sense. So yeah, I tried judo and stuff like that, which I don't think I was that bad at. And then yeah, I started wrestling, and I didn't get trained properly for like my first year, year and a half. I couldn't even bump properly, honestly. Like even just trying to like make things make sense in my head was hard. If someone said, this is how you take or give a suplex, I had to like figure out the timing and stuff of it. I remember like at NWA Wales, they'd literally like do something and it felt like they'd move on 5 minutes later to the next thing, and I was still there trying to figure out the last thing they'd showed us. And this guy Chris, who's a ref, he's a lovely man, he would literally come to the back of the class and he'd show me exactly what we'd just been learning, because the trainer just moved on like that. And I was the only girl, so I was at the back of the class, but I didn't let it frustrate me, because I knew that I just wanted to be a wrestler. Like, that was all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't know what else I wanted to do. So when I started training at Forefront Wrestling, I would bring a notepad with me and a pen, and I would write everything down. So for example, if we were doing the lockup, I'd write down in detail. I put my left foot forward. I put my left arm behind my opponent's neck, and I put my right arm on top of, well, on the inside of their elbow, and they do the same to me. And then for a wrist lock, I'd be like, right, then I throw their arm out to the left, then I grab their wrist, turn it to the left, but it was in a lot more detail. And then I'd sit there in the house, right, reading my little book. And it's so funny because I'd be reading my little book, figuring it out in my head, and then going through the motions in the living room, selling my wrist locks, doing the motions and putting someone in a wrist lock, locking up, doing the motions, giving someone a suplex, even like doing the motions, like not actually bumping, but like laying down and then getting up and feeding around and doing the motions. I literally had to drill it in my head. Where maybe one person could go once a week and learn, I would have to go to wrestling training, like say 3 to 5 times a week to get it drilled into my head. Up until this day, I still only drive an automatic car. I passed in an automatic licence. At the time I had torn my ACL, so I didn't want to do the clutch anyway, because with an automatic you can drive on your right leg, and I'm so glad I done that, because when I had my most recent knee injury, which was on my left also, I can still drive, so I'm happy for that. But the gearbox and stuff like that, couldn't work that. And the one thing which I still struggle on to this day is my hands. So for example, this cup of tea, that's my tea full, and I remember my mum's friend come over to the house and she was like, that's not a full cup of tea, when I made her a cup of tea. And I was like, I'm so used to not filling up my tea where I will over spill it, where basically I just have it like that. So say if I went to Costa with someone and they gave me drinks on a tray, there's no way I'd be able to balance that tray. It would just, my hands would shake and everything would just go everywhere. And it's happened before, and even talking about it makes me feel like I'm choking in my throat, and like makes me feel sick, because like it's like the most frustrating feeling. Like in a nightclub, if I have a cocktail and it's so full, I'll wait at the bar, I'll drink a lot of it, well not like that much of it maybe, and then I'll walk with it, and I'm proper watching this cocktail, walking slow. I can't just swan around with a drink in my hand because it'll go everywhere. And it is frustrating in wrestling, because I feel like in wrestling we're always learning something new, and it just is so hard for my brain to articulate what my body needs to do. And if something does not make sense in my brain, my body just won't do it. So everything like has to be broken down. Like I used to be terrible at banderas, now I can do a bandera, but everything had to be broken down, as in like, right, so you put your chest here, and as your chest goes here, this is where you jump, you don't jump first, type of thing, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So it has been a struggle, especially say if there's a wrestling move I've never taken and the girl's like, right, you need to do this, then you need to do this. My brain's just like, oh my god, I need to go away and have like 5 or 10 minutes to process it and figure out like if I can actually do it or not. So yeah, obviously I've got other learning difficulties as well, but this was just my video on dyspraxia. And you know, wrestling with dyspraxia, I believe that anyone can wrestle with dyspraxia if they want to. It just might take a bit of time. There will be times when you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, you want to cry, you want to scream and shout because your body physically can't do it. But I feel like if you make your teacher aware, a lot of people still don't know what it is, but even by making them aware, they can maybe familiarise themselves with it and give you ways of learning new things. Like in the place where I train now, the trainers are actually aware. Like, I don't know if they know exactly what it is, but they're aware, you know what I mean? So they're aware that I'm slower than everyone else, even though I've been wrestling for God knows how long, just because learning's different to me than it is to other people. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions in regards to dyspraxia, feel free to comment below. If you do have dyspraxia and you feel like you want to comment below about any of the struggles or any of the non-struggles, as in like, you know, the wins you've had, also comment below, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you soon.